France, 1789. A nation drowning in debt, ruled by kings and divided between the rich and the poor. While the nobility lived in golden palaces, the common people starved in silence. But one spark of anger, of hope, of courage was about to set the entire world on fire. This is the story of the French Revolution, a revolution that began with hunger and ended with freedom, a struggle that changed the destiny of modern democracy. In the late 18th century, France was one of the richest countries in Europe. Yet, its wealth belonged to a few. The society was divided into three classes. The first estate, the clergy. The second estate, the nobility. And the third estate, the common people. Peasants, laborers, merchants, who made up more than 90% of the population. They paid high taxes, had no rights, and carried the weight of the nation on their shoulders. Bread was scarce, prices were high, and famine spread across the land. While people starved, the royal court at Versailles continued to host lavish parties and feasts. To the suffering poor, it was an unbearable insult. But ideas were changing. The Age of Enlightenment had begun, a movement that celebrated reason, equality, and liberty. Writers like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Montesquieu questioned the power of kings and the authority of the church. Their words became weapons, and soon these ideas reached the hearts of ordinary citizens. The people began to ask dangerous questions. Why do the few live in luxury while the many suffer? If all men are born equal, why are we treated as slaves? A storm of change was approaching. In 1789, King Louis XVI, desperate to fix the economy, called a meeting of the Estates General, a gathering of representatives from all three estates. But when the Third Estate demanded equal voting rights, the king refused. Angered and humiliated, the representatives of the people broke away and declared themselves the National Assembly, the true voice of France. This act of defiance was the first open challenge to centuries of royal power. The revolution had begun. On July 14th, 1789, thousands of Parisians gathered, demanding freedom and arms. They marched toward a symbol of tyranny, the Bastille, a royal prison that represented oppression. After hours of fighting, the gates were torn down and the people took control. The Bastille had fallen. The event sent shockwaves across France and Europe. It wasn't just the fall of a fortress. It was the fall of fear. The people now believed that power could belong to them. The revolution spread like wildfire. Villages revolted, nobles fled, and the old order began to crumble. In August 1789, the National Assembly adopted the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. It proclaimed men are born and remain free and equal in rights. For the first time, freedom was not just a dream. It was law. But freedom would come at a terrible price. The revolution that began with hope soon descended into chaos as foreign armies threatened France and traitors conspired within. A radical group led by Maximilien Robespierre took control. They believed that only fear could protect liberty. Thus began the Reign of Terror. Thousands were executed, nobles, priests, even revolutionaries themselves. The guillotine became the face of justice, and the revolution began to devour its own children. Yet, beneath the blood and violence, a new world was being born. A world where monarchy would never again rule unchecked. By 1799, the revolution had exhausted itself. Amid the political chaos, a young military hero named Napoleon Bonaparte rose to power. He promised stability, glory, and strength. And though he would crown himself emperor, he carried forward many revolutionary ideals. Equality before the law, secular education, and the dream of a nation built by its people. The French Revolution changed more than just France. It changed the entire world. It destroyed the idea that kings ruled by divine right. It proved that ordinary people could stand up, fight back, and demand their freedom. The cries of liberty, equality, fraternity echoed across continents, inspired revolutions in Europe, in Latin America, and even shaped the foundation of modern democracy. The French Revolution reminds us that freedom is never given, it is earned. It is fought for by the brave and preserved by the wise. It began with hunger, but ended with hope. The people of France did not just fight against a king. They fought for the idea that all men are equal. And that idea still lives on in every nation, in every heart that believes in freedom. This was the French Revolution, the people's fight for freedom!